Hey everybody, it's your girl J.B. and welcome to another video. Now, before y'all even get started, I know the face is real basic. So it's basic for a reason because I'm doing my first ever Get Ready With Me.
Shoot.
For the longest, I've been wanting to talk a little more just about my backstory and what I do, because I do have another YouTube channel that's all about, you know, like the business that I'm in, the beauty industry. But then I transitioned over to CJ and Twirl because that's where I can really let my creative side out, just doing my vlogging, my music video reactions, and also to talk to you about what this video is all about, like my life beyond the chair, beyond the beauty chair, beyond the makeup chair, beyond the hair chair, okay? So let me just get started with my whole journey of how I went from corporate America to the beauty industry full-time to now looking to life beyond the chair. So, you know, like a lot of us been raised to just, you know, do the whole you know, get your corporate job and things of that nature. And that's exactly what I did. So, you know, I went to school. I went to college for a year. And then I realized that that wasn't really my thing. You know what I mean? So I came out and I started working immediately in corporate America. And so with that being said, I just did, you know, little jobs. I would do temp jobs and things like that. And I would do jobs like a lot of secretarial work and a lot of admin work and things of that nature. I knew it wasn't really always my thing, but you know, that's just what I needed to do, because at that time I was still living at home, and it was just a way to contribute and to have money in my pocket. I was working back on a corporate job, you know, whatever, and I just really hated it because, you know, that rudimentary type work, go a certain time, sit at a certain desk, do the same things over and over, really was not my thing. It really, really wasn't. But I didn't know at the time because I was young. You know how you just don't know what you don't know until you do know? It was one of those kind of situations. And I was working this job, and I clearly remember one day, I don't even know where I was, but I promise, you know how people say they heard the voice of God? I remember it was like a voice out of heaven. And it was like, and the voice was like, you were not created for 9 to 5. Like, I promise you. And I'm not really big on talking about the voices. You know, everybody got a voice and they hear the voice and God said, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was the queen of that. You know what I'm saying? Like the queen of hearing the voices. But I heard that right in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, you were not created for 9 to 5. Exactly. And so I, you know, took that, you know, I didn't know really what to do with it, because at that time I could not even imagine not working for somebody. I know, right? You know, like, you know, when you've been conditioned to think that you have to work for people, you know, that's all you know. So you don't even think beyond that. So you're like, no, I have to work for people. This is all I know. So I kept working at that particular job. And then after that, even though I knew what was what, I ended up leaving that job, and then I started temping again, right? And when I started temping again, I got a job at the last company I worked for. And what happened was, you know, in my gut, in my soul, I knew that I just was not created to do this. So in the meantime, in between time, I had started doing makeup, right? But anyway, so I came home from college and I was still doing my like temp work. And I remember these young ladies from my church at the time, they were like, oh my God, you so good. You know, could you show us how to do makeup? Now, mind you, I didn't even know what I was doing. At all. I remember I had a caboodle. And so I remember just taking all the little bit of makeup I had. I went to their house because actually one of the young ladies didn't live far from me. So I went to her house, and I remember like just doing whatever, you know, I was just showing them what I did. Meanwhile, I had no idea what I was even doing. And then they were like, girl, you need to get some business cards. And so what I did was, I'm trying to do this and talk at the same time. It is not that easy. Them girls make it look easy on the good YouTube, but y'all bear with me. I remember getting cards right after that because, you know, I was encouraged and they were like, you're good. And I remember that August of that same year is when I booked my first wedding. And I just had that kind of, you know, confidence at that time, like, oh, I could do it. You know, they told me I could do it, so I could do it. So then I remember it was a girl that I was temping with, and she was getting married. And I was like, I do makeup. I could do your wedding. And so I ended up doing her wedding. And thank God and thank you, Jesus, that this girl was really, 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 really pretty. So she didn't even really need no whole bunch of makeup. You know what I mean? Like, she was one of those girls that, you know, those women that just are pretty even if they have no makeup on. She was like that. Her skin complexion was amazing. Like, everything about her was just super, super amazing when it came to like that kind of thing, right? So I was like, oh, good, this works perfect. You know, she's already pretty. So I did my little thing, barely what I knew, and I brought one of my friends with me, and so we were there together doing our thing, and it came out fine. It was what it was. So, but that's where the start of my journey was, and then after that, I ended up meeting a young lady. I was still at my job, whatever, and I met this young lady. I was in a makeup store called Alcone in Manhattan. When I walked in, this young lady was like, I mean, literally, I had just walked into the store, and she was like, oh, are you, she said, do you assist? And I said, yeah. I didn't know what no assistant was. She said, do you assist? I said, yes. And she said, okay. Now, when I tell you, this is when you know you are in alignment with what you need to be doing. Because when I tell you, I didn't know this girl from a can of paint from nowhere. And she was like, okay, well, I have 2 jobs. She was like, I have to do Mary J. Blige, and I have a job with Essence Magazine. So, of course, she was going to do Mary. And so she was like, okay, so you could do the one for Essence Magazine. And I was like, well, what is it? And she said, it's just putting makeup on a guy. So I was like, okay. So that was it. So then she said, I'm going to call you later and give you all the details. So I went home amped. I was so excited, right? So I was thinking she going to call me right away. So now I'm sitting there waiting for the call. You know, waiting for her, you know, for the phone to ring and things like that. She didn't call. And I was like, and then I got discouraged. I was like, she not going to call me. I got so discouraged, sad. Right? And then later on, she called me, and she was like, okay, here's the information for the shoot. So it was somewhere in Manhattan, like downtown Manhattan or whatever. And I remember I had my hair in these like twists, and I had my hair up. Was I natural?
No, not yet.
Yes, I was. No, I was. I would have been natural the next year. So I took my hair out, whatever. And I had it up in this little cute thing. I remember I had my little heels on and my little skirt. And so I went to the shoot, right? And she must have told them I was coming, but they didn't seem to trip or whatever. So then I came, this, that, and the other. And all I had to do, it was just putting makeup on a guy. They wanted him to be painted like jet black, and I did not have the makeup for that. So they sent me out, they gave me a little budget, and then I went to the store to get what I needed, you know, for the shoot. And so I ended up putting makeup on him, you know, for the shoot, this, that, and the other. And that was it. And then later on, I remember, you know, I sent in an invoice and I got paid for it, and I was so excited. And, you know, I still have that invoice to this day. Because I saved it. This is the first invoice I ever got for doing makeup, and I saved it. So anyway, I ended up doing that, and that was in the November issue. So that's when I really started to think, okay, maybe this is something I could do. But in the meantime, in between time, I was working at this job, temp, and they offered me a position. And the thing is, I took the position, and I was mad at myself because I knew in my spirit that I wasn't supposed to be taking that, because I'm supposed to be working, you know, 9 to 5 wasn't for me. So anyway, I ended up taking the job, whatever, because I wanted to buy a car. And I said, okay, I need to buy a car. So, and I need to make the payment. So that was November, right? So I was like, I need to make the payment. So I should have a steady paycheck or whatever. So now I'm on the job, right? And, you know, I'm working this job. It wasn't even really, it was an administrative job. And I'm working the job, and it really wasn't even a lot to do, to be honest. I don't even know why I was even there, to be honest with you. After a while, I was so, like, not happy, because I knew, like, deep down in my heart, I wasn't supposed to be doing this. But in the meantime, in between time, that young lady I met at the makeup store started calling me, like, for other jobs. And then she eventually put me on to her agency that she used to work with. And then they started calling me for jobs. And then next thing you know, I started doing, like, video shoots. And I was on, like, video shoots. I was always, like, an assistant and things like that. But I would do things like, oh, my gosh, I worked with a few artists. And I did everything from, like, videos to I did videos, I did print work, I did probably everything except for Broadway. So I would be taking off work, child. I'd be taking off work and, you know, just like, oh, I'm sick, you know, that kind of thing, to work on a video and things of that nature. And then when it came down towards like the part of my career where I just wasn't happy at all, like I started to get so miserable. And I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where you was just miserable, but when you're miserable, like nothing matters anymore. Like even if you're getting paid, the money doesn't matter anymore because you're just not happy. And that's what was starting to happen with me. I just was not happy. So I was, you know, at this job making money and I didn't even care. And I mean, I remember, you know, I used to take the train to work. And so I'm getting on the subway, honey, beat for the guards. 7 a.m, I'm beat. I was so miserable and so unhappy because, you know, I knew deep down on the inside, this is not where I was supposed to be. Because keep in mind, we're going on like 5 years now. I had already heard the word that I wasn't supposed to be no 9-to-5 girl, but yet I'm still working because low-key I'm scared. And, you know, I've never not worked for anybody. I was so insubordinate.
What you do, girl?
Oh, God. I was so insubordinate. I would literally take like 2 and 3 hour lunch breaks. I would be on trains going to other boroughs and everything like that. Dead serious. I'd be doing all that, you know, because I just hated so much. And I knew that at that time, my job was going to, because I worked for an industrial bank, and they were actually merging with another company. But what happened was, because they were merging with another company, work had really slowed down. So they didn't have a whole lot of work, you know, for us to do. So it was like, you know, so even though I was being completely insubordinate, it wasn't like there was a ton of work that I wasn't doing. It was just like, you know, I don't like this job. Ain't a lot going on. I'm just going to take me a lunch break. So now I'm all downtown Brooklyn, just doing the absolute most. I mean, just doing the most when I look back. And the crazy part is, with all that shenanigans I was doing with those lunch breaks, no one ever said anything to me. They never said anything to me because I guess they were like, well, look, we don't know where our job stands either, so just do what you got to do kind of thing. And I remember this was a September before everything went down, and I was so miserable. And if you know me, if anybody knows me, I'm really not a crybaby. No, that's not really my position. You know, I'm very one of those, I'll figure it out. I'll do what I got to do. Child, I was crying. I was so scared because I had never quit a job. I admire those people that could just be like, I'm out, and just quit. Like, I just admire that. Maybe that's the new age, child, but I was from the age where, no, you're supposed to stay there, child, and all this other stuff. And so I knew I didn't want to be there, and I was so scared. Oh, my God. So I remember one Tuesday, I went to this church in Brooklyn. They had like a Tuesday night prayer, you know, that kind of thing. And I was most desperate. So I went to the Tuesday night prayer, and I remember sitting in the back, and I was just wailing. Like, I'm telling you, if you know me, I ain't no wailing kind of girl. I was wailing. I was in the back. I was like holding my stomach. I was so miserable going to a job every day, and I was holding my stomach and carry on. And the usher, I remember the usher came to me, and she just handed me like a tissue. She handed me a tissue, and I was crying. And in my spirit, I felt like something say, just hold on. Just hold on. I remember it was November, so it's like 2 months later, and it was November, the beginning part of November. And I think we had heard that, you know, today's the day, you know, where they were going to start like laying people off, right? And I told you, my spirit had said, just chill, you know, don't do nothing hasty. So I remember I beat my face, and I remember I brought my camera into work because I worked in Rockefeller Center. So underneath, you know, they had the McDonald's, and I got hot cakes and sausage. I remember that was the breakfast I got, right? The last breakfast. He was like, can I talk to you with that grim face? Right? And so he started to give this speech. And you know how like women say when they about to get proposed to, they don't hear nothing the guy said. All they know is, yes, I'll accept your proposal. That's how it was with me. I don't even think, I swear it was like an engagement because I didn't hear anything else. The next thing I knew, I jumped up and I hugged this man. He was like he stood back like, oh my God, what is she doing? And I was just like, thank you so much. And I think he thought that I was in some sort of denial.
No, I wasn't.
Because I was just so excited because my prayers, he don't even understand that my prayers was being answered. And then he said, now we got some grief counselors set up. He didn't know I didn't need grief counseling. We got a severance package and things of that nature, so we had to go down and meet the people for the severance package. I ended up getting, so I was there for 5 years, so for every year I was there, I think I got a month's severance, plus I got like unemployment, plus another 6 months. I was good for like a year and a half, so I was getting paid for a while. So now, after, you know, I got my severance and all that stuff, I remember I brought my camera in, so I went around and I went to everybody I knew, especially the people I liked, and I was saying, yo, today is the day I'm out. I was so excited. Everything started going down by 9. And so by the time everything wrapped up, it was like noon. And I'm gonna tell you, every time I tell this story, I say this part. When I left the building that day, I remember turning around and I said, I looked at the building. It was very dramatic, very like a TV show, y'all. I remember turning around and I looked at that building and I said, I will never work for anybody again. But that was probably the most standout time in my life that I could say for a certainty, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Mind you, like I said, I ain't had no plan, but I just knew I wasn't supposed to be there. It took me a while to get used to not having anyone over me. So that was an adjustment. So I had to get like adjusted to that, you know, just making my own decisions and things of that nature. But I was able to, figure it out. Definitely had my pitfalls with it. Definitely had my, you know, learning curves, as you would call it. You know, just trying to figure things out. You know, I had to figure money out because I was so used to getting paid the 15th and the 30th. And then I said, oh, no. When you work for yourself, when you get the money is when you make the payments. Okay, not sitting here waiting for the 15th and 30th. You know, it's so funny because when I look back now, you know how back in the church they say, my soul looks back and wonder how I got over. I promise you, that's how I feel. If you was to really, truly ask me, like, how did you make it? Like, how did you get to this point? I really couldn't tell you because it's one of those things where I just took things like as they came, step by step, day by day. You know, you fall down, you get up, you learn a new lesson. Where I've just been learning as I go. I told y'all I was at that job for like 5 years, and I told you that when I took the job, I wanted to get a car, right? So, do you know, November 6th, right, is when everything happened, when I was, you know, let go. Do you know my last car payment was November 11th? You hear me? So, I worked at that job, and I paid that car off, and then I was let go, so I didn't have to worry about a car note. Look at God. That was the story with how I even came to be a person who works for themselves. So now looking, you know, fast forward, now I've been working for myself a very, very long time. 20 years. And so now I am learning to adjust to life beyond the chair, because I've been doing this work for so long, and I'm realizing, and I've been serving people and, you know, making them beautiful and things of that nature. But then what's happening now is that I'm at a point in my life now that I really want to focus on me. Like, you know, focus on the things that make me happy and the things that bring me joy. And media, I've always been a media girl. I mean, since I was a young girl, I always loved the camera. I always like being in front of the camera. It comes very natural to me. I always like the idea of, you know, just sharing things and sharing stories and a little bit of acting, but not much with that. But it's just, that's always been my thing, like reporting, being a reporter. I've had a few shows on the internet. I had the J.B. show. Y'all can look that up. I had that where I would interview entrepreneurs and things of that nature. But even with that, I had come to find that even though I was interviewing entrepreneurs, it was still me celebrating and uplifting someone else's career and journey, and I never felt like I was doing that for myself, right? So, you know, now this time around, I'm really focusing on the things that I like to do. That's why I like to come on the channel, and I like to talk about reviews and Silk Sonic and, you know, things that I like with that. That's what really makes me happy. So what I'm finding is that, you know, in life, you have to sometimes check in and pivot. I got that from the Budgetnista. Hey girl. Like, you have to check in and pivot because, you could be on a journey for a long time and it's not making you happy, but you never really checked in. You know what I mean? You never really checked in to say, is this what I really want to do? Is this making me happy anymore? And that what was happening to me. I felt like I wasn't really being inspired anymore, you know, when it came to that job. And even now with doing the beauty, you know, I still like it. There's definitely an enjoyment. There's definitely a satisfaction with helping people to be beautiful and things of that nature. But now I feel like it's time for me a little bit. So even though I still do that, I'm now, I'm now working on, you know, just really making sure that I'm good and that I'm fulfilled as well. I would just tell anybody just to listen to your inner voice. And if you get in a calling or anything like that, so, you know, to kind of go another way, listen to it. Even if you're not ready at that moment to do something about it, just always keep it in the back of your ear. And before you know it, if you just trust the process, it will start to show up in different ways. The inner being will never guide you wrong. Y'all like this look so far, child? At the end of the day, you just have to trust and believe when you feel an inkling that you need to be doing something that you're not doing. Everybody has to get to their own conclusions their way, you know. And then before you know it, you know, things will start to unfold, because that's what life is like, an unfolding. That's what life is. It unfolds for us. Everything is not always given to you immediately. You know, things are given to you a little bit at a time. So I think I'm pretty much done with my look. I just have to do 2 more things. I'm just going to put on my lips, and for the eyes, I didn't put anything underneath. I just left underneath clean. I usually do that, especially if I'm not like today, I'm not going to do any lashes or anything. I'm just going to do a nice coating of mascara, and then I'm going to do some lips. And that's pretty much my look. Okay, so let me just do some lips real quick. A maroon liner. I like that liner.
Make them pop, girl.
And then I'm just going to finish everything off with some mascaras. And that's pretty much it, y'all. So that's good. It, guys. You like the look? Hold on, let me give you poses.
Get it, girl.
Hi. So y'all got ready with me. Y'all heard my story, how I finally left corporate America. And anyway, if you have any questions, I mean, what do y'all think? Have a similar story? Did y'all leave your jobs and to pursue the life of your dreams, anything like that? Let me know. Drop down in the comment section, because that's always inspiring. And I love to hear stories how people just went after their dreams and followed their hearts. That always makes me excited, and it keeps me encouraged just to keep going and trying something new. But don't worry, I'll be back, because I got more stuff to share. I got more stuff to talk about. But anyway, it's your girl J.B. If you liked the story, and if you're here this far, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you could definitely hit the subscribe, hit the notification, and everything else, so you can keep in touch with me, okay? And everything you need to know, again, will be down in the description, okay? So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.